Bon dia, Yves. Good evening to you, good afternoon, good morning, or if you're watching a recording of this chat. Welcome to another Fireside Chat with Eimear, and this is 131. And as is customary, I will start with a prayer for peace. Gomara Shiakon or Fud na Crinne. Gomara Shiakon in our Jaili, agus in our Jirha. Ganairi Lin, Lena Kuch Garmaka, Gamij Wikas Jeha Chulftaka is Spirit Chulftaka. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in our homes and in our countries. May our missions be accomplished. We thank you, guardian spirits and guardian deities, for peace. As the fever of day calms towards twilight, may all that is strained in us come to ease. We pray for all who suffered violence today. May an unexpected serenity surprise them. For those who risk their lives each day for peace, may their hearts glimpse providence at the heart of history. For those who make riches from violence and war, might hear in their dreams the cries of the lost. That we might see through our fear of each other a new vision to heal our fatal attraction to aggression. That those who enjoy the privilege of peace might not forget their tormented brothers and sisters. That the wolf might lie down with the lamb, and that our swords be beaten into plowshares, and no hurt or harm be done anywhere along the Holy Mountain. Thanks to John O'Donoghue. So let me see where you're all from. Norfolk Island, Australia. You're up early, Linda. Happy summer solstice to you. Here, of course, in the Northern Hemisphere, we're celebrating Grian Southern Gira, Albanarthan, and the winter solstice. West Yorkshire, deepest, darkest Elmer's End, a long, dark London night. Greetings from the Venice of the North, Crouch End, Denmark, Belgium. And I'm hearing it some places in the US, it's sunny. It's been quite wild and windy here in Ireland, and very, very cloudy. So somebody in Wales is that the winds could take the head off you. Drizzly in British Columbia, sunny in northern Colorado, wonderful. So windy in Penzance, and sunny and warm in Wyoming, lovely. So it's just wonderful to see you all on this, in this part of the world, the shortest day and the longest night. So we've been celebrating here here in Kilkenny, we celebrated the winter solstice sunrise at Knockrow, which is a passage tomb aligned to the winter solstice at sunrise. And then I went back in the afternoon, because there's another passage tomb aligned to the sunset at the winter solstice, but it was cloudy. But nonetheless, we still had a lovely ceremony, and a lovely group of people had gathered there to honour the ancestors as well. So windy in Edinburgh, windy in Denmark, sunny in South Carolina. Okay. Darkest night in Longford in Ireland. Anyway, we're going to go to Dublin, Ireland this evening. And I'd like to introduce my guest, Martina Carroll. Martina, you're so welcome.
So I'm delighted to be here, Eimear. Thank you for asking me to join you on the solstice. So it's fantastic.
So did you mark it in any way today?
I didn't actually. Just I went out to watch the sunset just this evening, because it was cloudy and it was windy. It wasn't too bad, the weather, but I went out to watch. I have the Timon Park facing my house, and the mountains there behind, and you could see great banks of black clouds just flying across the mountains on the horizon. But the west was clear and you could see the sunset. So you can see it over the lake. So it was very nice, the sunset. But apart from that, yeah.
So just tell us a little about your landscape, because you're living in Dublin, but you obviously have the mountains behind you. So just tell us a little bit about what that's like.
Okay, so Dublin, I grew up in Dublin. My family background is Dublin. And it has just been a beautiful place. When I was a child, it was very small. So we were right on the outskirts of the countryside as well, and the ditches and the fields. But we also had the mountains. We used to go into the mountains during the summer. We'd go for picnics, or else we were at the beach, all the seasides along Dublin, and the summers my mother would bring us into town, into the Trinity College, and for picnics, Stephen's Green, so canals. Both my grandparents, one grandparent was beside the Royal Canal and one beside the Grand Canal. So we've all of this, and my landscape here is still just very close to where my dad grew up. So very much in nature, always.
Beautiful. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know we met in Kimmage Manor years and years and years ago. This is and the development studies.
Right.
I mean, you had already graduated from there, but
yeah,
our paths crossed there. So just tell us a little bit about how you got there and from there to here.
From there to here. Gosh, how I got to Kimmage. I think it was just, I mean, I started out in life working as a computer programmer, and then I was looking for something different. And I went to initially do the adult education module. So eventually ended up doing all of the modules. And from there, I went on to study psychology, but I also did a certificate in adult education. And so that was really what started the work, because my interest was really more towards community, and really coming from my parents being very involved in community and being around a lot of very creative, highly creative people and artists and so on, musicians. So I was really interested in that more creative side of ways of doing things, I guess.
So what brought you into psychology from development studies?
Actually loved the psychology module there.
Okay.
And there were many directions I could go, but I went to UCD, and it was just luck in a way that got me into it. And probably being good at statistics, which is the irony of it, because you had to compete for your place, and it was the one thing, and it was very unfair because you could get 100% on the statistics exam, and all the others were marked out to 70 in those days. So it was very unfair. But anyway, I never did. That was not my interest. My interest in research was not in numbers and not in social narratives, not in social psychology. And I was really wanted to know how you could do research through the arts, how creative, more sort of the senses, all of that. And so I was really curious how we could tap into that level of knowing, those ways of knowing. And so that's what really kickstarted a kind of the work that I'm really interested in my life. So,
that's fascinating. So what is it, the work? So paint a picture, a creative picture.
Okay. I mean, on the one side, my work was in lifelong learning, adult education, teaching, but also teaching psychology. But on the other side of that, I had arts and community development. So I was interested in working in community through more creative ways. And I think having come from a working class Dublin background and kind of seeing the poverty in my early childhood, I kind of understood the people, and I kind of disagreed with a lot, you could say. And I felt there were ways of working with people that I was really interested to try something different and something new. And so I wanted to do research. Nobody would fund the work I really wanted to do, the project I wanted to do in community. So I approached Germans to do it for research, to do it for a degree. And that's really how I started running a program and trying to do some kind of an alternative way of doing research through the arts and working with groups. So that was the beginning of that kind of work. I think after that, I told the story the other day about with the homeless women. I think there was an interest in. Oops. Sorry, am I still on? I'll keep talking anyway. So the work brought me into working with people, homeless women particularly, and I was really interested in developing a program there, but the work was more interesting than never really developed the research methodologies, and that was part of the problem. And in recent years, I think as a result of being a Druid, finding Druidry, finding a spiritual path, which really was a coming home for me in my own life. And I suppose that really changed the way I wanted to work. It got me in touch with other people. And I think during the lockdown online and international community, I started to discover people who had a similar interest as myself. And so doing work with the Presencing Institute and using their research and methods, I started to work with other people to develop ways of working and ways of inquiring and doing research into community development, and research with people using arts and kind of sensing into what it's the embodied, the felt sense, that other ways of knowing. That was all really important, and so that was really the work that I'm doing at the moment. So I'm just a little bit new to this studio. So I see a message saying everyone can see me, but I can't see anybody. So it's kind of strange, like talking to myself. So yeah, that's at the moment I'm doing some research into, it's called an inquiry into the flow of authentic energy. And I'm working with a team, and we've submitted to do this work with the Presencing Institute. They have in their U School for Transformation. And so we're kind of sensing and seeing into the system. And a lot of the participants in this are doing their own work, their own research, and working with people. And they're in coaching, mental health, or different fields. So we want to know how it works. We have found ourselves coming into this a kind of a generative conversation where we're beginning to see and sense in ways that are it's very hard to imagine. The one word everybody describes it as is magic, and so it's a very magical experience. So I would just, yeah. So that's basically the work, and so I might just say a little bit about my own path in Druidry, how I came home to Druidry. I think I came home to Druidry at a time in my life, I suppose really the Bardic grades started about 7 years before I even discovered the OBOD. And it was a dark time in my life. And for me, it was a time of spiritual emergence, I would say. And I think I had a deep connection with nature for a long time. And that was a time when I started writing poetry. And I just might share a poem because it was a time when my children all grew up. We were all heading in different directions. My youngest son is autistic, so we homeschooled him. And when he grew up, we were all just doing our own thing, going in different directions. I started writing poetry, walking in the mountains with groups of people, walking in nature. It became a totally departure for me in my life, and my perception of being, which has always been with me. I always had a kind of a fantasy, kind of a private life, a solitary sort of being in nature. And so I'll read a poem because this poem kind of captures it, that time in my life when things were starting to fall apart. And I know for many people, it's a kind of spiritual emergence, as we might have in Druidry, might be something that would be rather more, how should I say, overwhelming. But it was actually gentle, I think, being part of a writers' community in Dublin when I found all these fantastic people, and just opened up a whole world for me in the city. So the poem is called I Am Home. I am home, dancing in the kitchen together with laughing children, having fun, curled up on the sofa, infant held lovingly in arms now empty. Home where you were unhappy and silent, and now in a hotel lobby far away. We both know that timeless place, that placeless time. I am home. Sipping cold summer wine on lake shores, in Braziano and Rome, tacos in Madrid, cutlets in Łódź, sleeping on trains in car parks and city streets, Crayola and beer and fresh orange juice, the Prado, the Louvre and Tate, on and on to the end of the road. I was always home. We are home. And that's a poem. It really tells the story of my life with our son, our youngest son, when we bought a camper van, and we used to spend about 2 or 3 months every year traveling around Europe. And even before that with our kids backpacking and traveling on trains. So that all kind of came to an end for me. And I was kind of more or less back to a solitary life with family grown up and everybody gone off. I have another poem which maybe also captures something of my spiritual emergence, in a sense, that deep primal connection to nature. And where this poem comes from, I don't know, but it really was a sense of, and this is how I kind of perceive life, as a sense of everything existing in the present moment, and like timeless, almost like there's no past or future, but everything and everybody existing. So this is my so this is the poem. It's called Nightfall and the Dream of Wolves. Wolves howling to a bright shimmering moon, their necks outstretched and their teeth bared. Shadows in the forest dim light, yet strangely calm after the stormy ocean of a long ending. It was not as much a goodbye, merely the coming of night, a reminder that nothing lasts forever. Forever then, wandering in a field, alone in the night, it was clear that all that had been accomplished had been worthwhile, with no regrets for the time together. Together traveling our world, exploring art and signs, talking endlessly into the night about history and literature and architecture, yet learning more about each other after the end. So now I stop in the forest at night, absorbing a sense of the place, then stand there waiting, motionless, middle of the throng, the primal wilderness of the dream. Dream is all that's left, prayer unanswered or unheard, and nightfall with the dream of wolves. So I'm not sure if I'm still even connected, maybe Eimear with all the wind, maybe the internet has gone off, or I'm disconnected, or maybe I am on live. It says here you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you, which is rather strange for a fireside chat, but I'll just keep going. To just speak about a little bit about because my work was in psychology and I'm really interested in finding other ways other than the medical model, the traditional medical model. I didn't go into that side of psychology therapy, but rather more into human development. And it was the human development which I tried to understand through the work of and the practices of the Presencing Institute. So, and I think I'll just share this poem. It's another poem. And it was at a time when I started writing, and the writing for me was just an expression. I don't know where the creativity comes from. But this poem is called Ode to Ruminations. And at that time I was writing a lot of poems called odes, the kind of worshipping something. And it just seems like a little bit of a strange title. But so many people would say, well, you thinking too much or whatever. So, and starting to write is really getting getting the thoughts out there somehow into the open. So the poem Ode to Ruminations. Beloved ruminations, you are the noisy thoughts in nascent form, going round and round inside this busy head, waiting for the voice of reason to be quiet so you can speak, without disrupting the world of work and life, where duties line up in endless corridors, countless flaming torches in motion above the chaos that is our world. You, my love, were patient and waited year after year for this juggler to slow down, while drama unfolded and this world became a blazing forest. Then you were able to speak, words landing on pages, becoming visible, my precious. You tumbled out free at last, and behind you a flood revealed my heart, so that now we are loving friends, and I care not what the experts have to say. You are the voices in my head who took the pain and terror of my soul and soothed in weeping, its weeping in poems that wrapped up tears until at last we live free as the cooling wind, flying high above the place where hope goes to die. So that's just a little poem about just writing. A lot of the poems I wrote were about writing. So I still don't see Eimear back, and I still don't know whether I'm still live or not. This is just showing up on my computer, like as though I'm alone, and this is very strange, but how and ever, I'll just continue. So the creative work, although I was working creatively with people in community, bringing people together in projects, art projects, over a series of weeks and months, and even went into years. And I had different groups, and then we would all come together for some great big exhibitions. And the art was very prominent in my life for a long time before the writing came. But I think the writing was a complete shift. And that's what brought me into Druidry. In a way, I was finding myself in the Bardic course about 7 years before I started Obod. I started the Guernsey studying. That was in 2017 when I began. And I think it was a deepening. It was a beautiful deepening. So, but in those years, and I would say this is my years as a bard, because I was spending so much time in Dublin, hanging out with writers and poets, and started to go on holidays with these poets. And this is a poem of one of our trips. We went to Berlin together, a small group of us, and we were kind of new friends at the time, and we just decided to go off and we would travel together. So the poem is called Friends in Berlin. And it's kind of apt now because, in a way, it's kind of the history coming full circle, I think, at this point. So Friends in Berlin. Berlin, city of arts and sadness. New friends drinking wine together, sharing joy and laughter, words spoken aloud along river walks, then sitting by the water's edge, the sun shining and the wind gently cooling. Together we write our thoughts silently. Don't mention the war, we are prompted. Then we find words that touch the terrifying reality. So close and yet so distant. Each step among friends facing a grey wall. Rivers filled with tears and tales. History laid bare among city streets. Haunting music in the still night air. We watch the young laugh and run through the maze, where the old man looks stern and shakes his head, until they remember to be quiet and somber, because too many people have died there. Old friends, dear friends, friends because they remind us that life has meaning. So we hug each other, together new friends, and we sit together quietly writing. So that was, so still no sign of Eimear. So whether I've been cut off or what's happened, I don't know. It's a very strange experience, and we may be still live. So if that's the case, I'll keep talking, and I don't have any chat. I can't see, I can't interact. But sure, I'm sitting here in my living room and I may be just entertaining myself. It's very, very interesting. I wasn't expecting to read all of these poems. I just printed off a few today, thinking I'll be chatting with Eimear. And just thinking about, this is another poem. It's called The Storyteller. And so that's very close to my bardic journey as well. And it's, let me tell you a story about life that unfolds in the telling, with characters who play roles, heroes and villains, and plots that unfold, subplots that subvert, gathered tales of love so dear and loss so deep, dizzying diversions off trail across rough terrain where danger lies, and you lose yourself in enchanted forests, trapped by cascading rivers of tears and terror, stormy oceans and howling wolves, gnawing hunger so painful you might die, controlled by fear. Dependence so powerful you are trapped and can't break free. So you write a poem, no longer caring. Hi, Eimear. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's amazing. No worries, no worries. I can, yeah. Okay. I will, yes. I don't know. It's very hard to talk. I'm having a chat. So, hi everyone. This is Eimear on the phone. So I'll say goodbye, Eimear, to you now. Okay. I say good night to everybody. Okay. Bye. So that was Eimear on the phone, and it seems that they have a complete power outage, and so they've no internet, anything there in Three Castles in Kilkenny. So Eimear has asked me to thank you all for coming and to say good night, and how sorry she is that she was cut off. I thought I'd just finish this line because I was caught in a point which is just really for Eimear about the this poem, the writer. And the last couple of lines is, with great sadness, alone with one strength left that no one can take away and no enemy can steal. Because this is your story and you are the storyteller. So here we are with the stories and the poems. So I'll finish up, I think, then, and say thank you very much. I'm not even sure how to end this. I didn't realize I was still live. So thank you all. And Eimear said she will try to reschedule, and we'll see how it goes. And have a great holiday season. Bye-bye, everyone. So how do I cut off? Just